So there's been lots of news come out this week all around Ulduar, Phase 2 and Death Knights, which we're not going to talk about. Instead, there's been a couple of posts that have gone out which are actually quite good because they clarify a lot of your questions that you normally ask me in the comments. So if you didn't see the video I put out yesterday, we've already had clarification on the fact that the mounts and the titles from Nax are going to stay in the game, so they'll be obtainable all the way throughout the expansion. Good news if you haven't got them yet. And a lot of you have been asking what's going to happen with PvP gear when the season comes to a close. So Agron's put out a post saying, apologies for the confusion here. The previous post announcing that Season 5 end date was unfortunately incorrect. The end of Arena Season 5 will function much like Arena Seasons 1 to 4 in Burning Crusade Classic. On Monday, January the 9th at 10 PM PST, Arena Season 5 will end in the US region and the following will occur. Arena points costs for Deadly Gladiator gear will be halved and all rating requirements will be removed from Deadly gear. So it's definitely not worth wasting Arena points now. Just give it a week and you'll be able to get them half price and you need no Arena rating. So this is actually on the PTR at the moment because I'm just waiting to go for yet another Ulduar run. But you can see the prices haven't changed yet, but obviously they will when the Arena season ends. So looking at like Deadly Gladiator's Decapitator at 4.5k seems very, very expensive obviously now, but when it's only going to be 2,250, that's not actually that bad. And you've got to remember all the rating requirements for these are going to be removed as well, so you don't need to worry about rating, you just need to worry about getting Arena points. There is an exception to this though, as it says here. So the exception is the Deadly Gladiator's Tabard, which will retain its 2.3k rating requirement, but it will also have its Arena points cost reduced by half after January the 9th. After Season 6 begins, however, your Season 5 rating will be wiped and this tabard will no longer be available. So if you'd like to own this and qualify for it, you should purchase it as soon as possible after January the 9th. So this is the tabard here. It's only 550 points anyway. Even at full price, it's not expensive, but it does require 2.3k rating, and that's not going to change. So the Savage and Hateful Gladiator gear will only be available for Honor, and the Honor cost of these items will be reduced as well. So at the moment, you know, it's some Arena points and some Honor. So instead, it's just going to be Honor and reduced. So actually getting Hateful gear will be very, very fast. So there's absolutely no reason to at least pick some Hateful gear up if you're trying to put a PvP set together and don't want to spend too much time on it. So when it comes to Savage and Hateful Gladiator gear that can already be purchased with Emblems of Heroism and Valor, they will not have their emblem cost reduced, and it will cost the same amount as they have throughout Season 5. The overall availability of Valor emblems should go up significantly in Season 6 with Valor moving to Heroic Dungeons. Valor may also be converted to Emblems of Heroism at the appropriate vendor in Dalaran. There's also a note at the bottom just saying we aren't ready to announce a start date for Season 6 yet, but you will have at least one full week after January the 9th to spend your Arena points. When Arena Season 6 begins at a later date, the normal conversion of Arena points to Honor will occur. So if you're a PvPer, that's good that you've got some clarification around how the gear is going to work, which if you are a PvPer, you've probably already got the gear, but if you want to get into PvP, that week, you know, farming some Arena points now, and then during that week, spending them all and getting your half-price gear, basically, obviously well worth it. It's interesting they say at least a week, but it will be, I reckon, 1 week, because the week after the Arena season ends, we should expect Phase 2, which will bring Ulduar, providing nothing breaks over the next couple of days on the PTR. Which, while we're talking about Ulduar, I just want to touch on a couple of things that have been changed, which have been announced in the actual patch notes for 3.4.1. So there's been a few fixes, like Grounding Totem will no longer absorb reflected spells. Ranged weapons in Ulduar, which we touched on in yesterday's video, will now have the correct DPS. The one that I absolutely love is that Killshot will no longer crash the clients of everybody around the Hunter. Kind of wish that just stayed in. And there's been a couple of changes to bosses. I'm not going over all of these changes because quite honestly some of them are just bug fixes that just shouldn't be there at all, like Killshot to be fair, but Ulduar itself has received quite a few tweaks, changes and adjustments. I'll put a link in the descriptions of Warcraft Tavern where I'm actually looking at this on if you want to read it yourself. So among the changes on the bosses, the main one is XT, and the XT's hard mode health has been reduced on both 10 and 25 man. Now I don't think it was a problem on 10 man. I've killed XT hard mode on the PTR in 10 man loads of times. You know, literally, well, every time we've cleared Ulduar 10, we've killed XT hard mode, so I don't see an issue there. 25 man, definitely. We actually was trying 25 man last night, even after these changes, and by no means did we have an ideal setup. We had one of our DPS that don't normally tank having to tank. We had 4 ranged DPS, the rest was all melee, so like nothing about last night's raid was ideal. but XT is still really hard. So don't think that it's been nerfed down to the ground, because that really isn't the case. But they did make a change to Ignis, where it's had its health increased on both 10 and 25 man, as well as some damage buffs to go along with it, and Scorch has had its damage doubled. Now, I can say that that was very noticeable, as in, I hadn't actually looked at these notes before raiding last night. We just, as soon as the server stabilized and we could actually get a raid together and get into Ulduar on 25 man, we just got in. So we did actually go and kill Ignis, and I even said this seems noticeably harder and took noticeably longer as well. So this is actually a change which turned Ignis from the first PTR, where it was pretty much a loot pinata, into now an actual boss where you do need to worry about mechanics and you do need to worry about positioning. So that's good to see. Razor Scowl has had a drastic reduction in the berserk timer, going from 10 minutes down to 6. Not really noticeable, because as long as you've got enough damage, which you should, you can almost one-phase it in tier 7 gear, as in get it down to the ground just after being brought down once. But as long as you do it within 2, sorry, I'm not swearing at you, as long as you do it within 2 anyway, you're not going to hit the enraged timer, so nothing to worry about there. Paladin has received a small damage buff on Stone Grip, as well as increased movement speed on Focused Eye Beam. Killed Paladin last night, didn't really notice a difference at all, if I'm completely honest, but there is one thing which I want to do more testing on this myself on 25 man in our guild runs, but Eye Beam don't really seem to do much damage. In fact, if everyone just spreads out, you don't even need to run away with it. You can just stand there and get healed through it. Now, I'm not suggesting that you go in and do that. Absolutely not. You should be kiting the Eye Beam away. But I got a sneaky suspicion that we won't be kiting the Eye Beam away. And I just want to do another couple of 25 man clears over the weekend, just to confirm that you absolutely can just stand still and heal through it. But that was pretty much what we done last night. And then Algalon has decided to close his disco and go for a more 2000s theme, reducing the brightness of the Celestial Planetarium, as well as correcting some graphical issues with Cosmic Smash. So Cosmic Smash is so you can actually see it on the floor rather than guessing where it is. Always helps when you can actually use skill to down a boss rather than luck. But that's about it really. PvP gear, some Ulduar changes, my thoughts on some of the Ulduar changes. There are more, as I say. I'll put a link to it in the description, because there's tons of changes or tweaks across all the bosses, but really the ones at the top of the page are the only ones that are really relevant that you want to focus on, or that are going to make any difference to how you actually approach a boss. Thanks for watching, like and subscribe, see you later.